You're ready.
Good morning, Hickory Sunrise.
Good morning.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I will offer the blessing, please. Join with me in prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you for once again safe passage to this meeting this morning and for good health, and thank you for a beautiful sunrise morning. As we get ready this morning to share in this meeting, we ask that you would be with us, that you would open our eyes to the needs of our community, ways that we can help others around us. Be with us as we consider these things in our budget and how we can spend the funds that we've been so hard at working and raising. As always, Father, we offer you thanks for the gift of your Son, Jesus, our Savior. Amen.
Amen. Good afternoon, Mr. Hunt. Get your dollar out, please, sir.
Oh, man, Steve, we held off. We didn't quite make it.
All right. Here's the dollar interest next week, loan-wise. So anyway, keep that. I'll make a note. All right. We had little issues this morning. First of all, we have a program, and we'll let program be introduced a little bit later. Jim has called everybody in Rotary this morning, find out where you are. He was here at 6. And we'll know who's showing up. Call Reinhardt, call Rick. Are you okay this morning, Jim?
I'm here.
All right.
Did you get backwards on daylight savings or what?
No, I had problems with my back last night, and I didn't get hardly any sleep at all. And sometime I must have, when I put the alarm on the clock, I must have shoved it all the way over and changed the clock time also.
Well, I don't think he doesn't charge.
I was told I'm not charging him. I'm not going to charge him this morning. If he was thoughtful enough to call some Rotarians this morning. All right.
Mrs. Ardenard.
Yes, sir.
It was brought to my attention here a minute ago that there was somebody sitting fairly close to me who's been a member for a little while that doesn't show up on the roster on page 4.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
I may have to pay for that.
Yes,
I sent Barbara the information, and I did not look to see if Linda.
Well,
did.
if you sent it in, then
It's not there.
Well, I say it's not
here, not printed.
Not Rhino's fault though.
Okay.
It doesn't get on there.
Well, anyway,
Well, it's
we'll take
somebody's
it.
fault.
But we can't find Barbara, so I guess
Well,
we'll
I
have to
guess
find
we'll take
Rhino.
All right, here's the question this morning. And serious question. Do you trust the Sergeant at Arms?
Oh, implicitly. Implicitly.
No way.
All right, I'm going to tell you something. All right, I'm passing this around. It's going to cost $30.
Ooh.
Now, if I've got tickets, and if you'll buy a ticket, you can buy 2 tickets or 3 tickets. I will tell you there's something in there that I did, but I'm not going to open it now. I want to pass it. You have to trust me. $30.
Can we have one question
Clients.
for veracity? If we bought the ticket
Yes,
and won,
Yes, sir.
would our wives be happy?
Yes, sir.
That's enough for me.
All
Sells
right,
it.
pass it around and feel of it, but it is, as far as weight, quickly. Now,
Well, the tickets are how much, $1 or what? How much are the tickets?
$1, you can buy more than one. We'll have to buy more than one to get 30. The value of it, and I will tell you, it is that. All right, here we go.
Wait, before you sell it, remember that I'm retired from an accounting firm.
Phil?
So I'm good with money. I suggest a price of $1 a piece or 3 for $5.
Whatever you decide.
What kind of accounting company do you go to?
Oh, you can get some, Phil, would you help us?
I like 5 for 5 better.
Swing 'em and jip 'em.
All right, here you go. Also,
It is a good deal, isn't it? 3 for $5.
Ron Leach, would you, on that
He
side?
says my wife will be happy.
We'll speed it up.
Yeah, give it to Mr. Security there, we'll make sure it's
There you
right.
go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Got your gun?
Here you are.
I don't even have a flashlight,
All right,
but the perimeter is protected.
I
all
understand.
right.
There's 2 right
They'll
there.
eventually go in here.
5. Oh, you got
What?
Watch it. Say, I better take that.
All right.
If you want to come in.
1, 2,
Oh, you got it.
3.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Where's the money go?
It'll go in fines, right in this box,
I
I'll
got,
take it.
I put mine right in there, we'll use that prop for this side.
Okay,
Tear those in half.
Three, Phil.
3 tickets in your hand,
Hey, where are your tickets going?
right here. They'll be drawn from that box.
I'll take
3
5.
for 5.
All right,
I got 3 for 3.
all right, I'll put 3 tickets in there. All right,
Tear them in half, keep
Or I'll
one,
take 3 $1.
keep one and,
I'll take his $5
that's
bill.
fine.
Where are we putting the money?
All right, anybody else? How many? Okay.
keep one,
Special
give it
deal.
all over there.
Oh, I got 3 for 5.
Hold it. Let me get 2, 3, 4, 5, okay?
It's the same number. I
Yeah.
get half.
Here it is.
I got it right here. So I got it.
You got 5.
I did 2.
You've already got it. Okay, now I'll tear this up and put
Thanks,
it
sir.
over there.
Wait a minute.
Oh, wait a minute.
Just a
This
second.
is foreign language here. I'm not sure what
Yes.
This is all.
We're gonna be right, there. We don't have to put a name on that, right?
All right, Bill, how much money do you have?
$1, right?
There you go.
Wait a minute. All right, count that. 5, 6, 7, 8.
Dan, give me that money out of that blue right there.
Nice as 13. How can 13 be a
All right,
loser?
count.
No, that's,
This right here,
that's ticket sales.
all of this, okay.
I have 11,
All right,
12.
we're gonna be fine.
I have 12.
Make sure Steve Hunt shakes them things good.
We're gonna shake it
I
up.
feel it, I smell it.
And I even put, seal at the bottom. All right.
Did you get your arcade license from the state now, like all these
Everything's
others
covered.
have?
All right. Would you count the money?
Have they sprung
Yeah.
up like
We got enough.
a bullet?
Here,
It's a 20-hour way.
okay.
I'm not in yet. If I got any money.
All right, we've got 26 bills.
No, wait a minute, what about this stack over
Just stand
here?
here.
Okay, here's more. right
Oh, we got it.
here. We got it. All right.
Try to get the door and then.
Now,
26, I appreciate that.
let me,
Did you?
here is the trust.
35.
Here is the trust.
$39.
All right.
Are we gonna see it before you draw?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes.
good.
So we can at least
That's
find
it.
over what we missed
That's
out on,
it.
right?
It, all right, we're gonna draw this in a minute.
It's a block of Coca-Cola.
Okay, pass it around.
Chopping block, wow. You make it?
Yes. What the, I didn't know.
Hey, Bob.
The last time we did this, I found a sticker on it, said made in China.
That's right.
For those that remember.
Legitimate question.
That's right.
Unsold. Wait,
Made in
unsold.
Canada.
Unsold, okay, gotcha. All right,
Well, put those in and then you can always re-auction it.
all right,
I didn't see the ticket.
I pulled a ticket, suspense is killing me.
okay. Richard Tucker,
Yes, sir.
I want you to shake this, and I want Lynn to pull one out.
Oh, my God. God, I hope I don't.
All right,
No, that's okay. You certainly couldn't see that number in there.
Hey,
you can't see
If you
it.
don't pull my number, you pay for breakfast Saturday.
Really?
Yeah.
What's your number?
Be good in the cab, I don't know what mine.
That's it, you win.
Read the number.
021 7
So good.
7 1
Man.
0.
That's right before, oh, wait a minute, 1-0, hang on.
Doesn't mean, no, it's not me.
7710?
7710.
Uh-oh.
All right, good deal, you got it. We'll take your word for it.
All right.
Okay, that's good.
Guess I buy that.
All right, good deal.
Thank you. It's our anniversary, she's gonna get, this is an anniversary gift.
Morning, gentlemen.
Save yourself $5 by being late.
Yes, sir.
I said, good morning, gentlemen, Richard.
Richard, thank you.
How are y'all this morning?
Kenny, if you get a chance,
Kenny, how about you?
tell Barbara to put Lynn on. I didn't get that in that one I filled out, I didn't.
You're a good looking young man, what's your name?
You know what I did, Lynn? I checked on you on the that TV online and
Pass that all out.
everything's out. It should be. I've got your
Oh, you
end,
missed, sorry.
mailings, everything. I didn't look at the back of the.
No big deal. What's the bag?
Kenny, that just got auctioned off, and Rhino won it. That's a nice piece of wood.
It sure is. 5 pieces of wood.
Wow.
5 species.
Nice work there.
I bet the album's gonna hold up for at least 6 months.
If I didn't win it, I don't see it. Listen, Andy. You're gonna be fine.
Did you get your little card?
That's right.
Oh, man.
Snyder,
I had to get up on the table to start it again. I said, only if you get $20 in the blue bucket.
It's like deja vu, I was walking in here and up on the table again, same thing.
Right, more money.
you read it.
I like the how to fill the trick.
Can you imagine what it was like for my daughters in school? Oh, it was just awful.
Hey, Jim.
Okay.
He probably has some.
So,
Calling back to order here,
is it Sergeant?
down at the end of the
Arms
table. Sergeant at Arms, are you finished for the morning?
I'm through.
Okay, thank you so much. We have some business to talk about on the budget and probably a couple other things, but let's have the program so that we make sure that Honey has plenty of time to share with us. And I'm looking to see who, Bob Steiger. Bob Steiger, we ask you please to introduce the program.
Absolutely. Good morning. Good morning. It's my pleasure this morning to introduce Henny Nassar. Henny and I have been, oh my gosh, longtime acquaintances, over 35 years or so, and he's still talking to me, so that's great. He needs no introduction to most of us, so help me in welcoming Henny to our club meeting this morning.
All yours. So, Bob and I started to initially run together, then walk together.
Yes.
But, and we talk about things that since we've been friends for so long. And in March, I spent 3 weeks at the Hippocrates Health Institute. I'm also managing the wellness program at Klingspor. So one of the ideas Mr. Klingspor had is for me to attend this health institute to learn and hopefully teach our employees. So I went for 3 weeks, and I took my daughter with me as bonding with the father and daughter. And we spent 3 weeks there, so I'm sharing my experience with you. There's so much information to share. So I put this together as an introduction. I have not done this before, although I'm what we call an ambassador. So I signed up to be an ambassador, and eventually I'll be an educator. But at this point, I'm sharing information that I've learned there. There's much more to that I can share with you, but because of the limited time that Rob gave me, 10 to 15 minutes, I wanted to ask you to ask any questions in areas that I may not spend too much time on, that may be of interest to you. So I will go through, I've got 20 slides, I think, but I'll go through them quickly, and I'll leave some time for questions at the end, because there will be questions, I assume. So the institution is called Hippocrates Health Institute. I'm calling it HSR for short. And it is Hippocrates, believe it or not, in 460 BC. So that's the time that Hippocrates survived or lived. He was a Greek physician, considered to be the father of modern medicine. So I don't know how modern medicine can be called for 60 BC. But he determined that illness was not a superstitious belief at that time. Everything was superstitious, the weather, the thunder, everything was superstitious. But he believed that what we eat and how we live is the reason for natural causes to happen. He also said that natural forces within us are true healers of disease. And natural forces is what he means by the frequency of the body, the hertz, what frequency we have in our bodies. And I will talk about that in a minute. Anne Wigmore is the founder of the Hippocrates Health Institute, and she was born in 1909. and died in 1994. And she believed in holistic health and raw food intake. So holistic health, by definition, is the non-medical field, non-prescription medicine type of thing, and it actually involves the whole body as a whole, like spirit and the body and the mind and social activities. So all of these is the holistic approach to future medicine as they see it. The biofrequency is what's used now, with all the technical logic, all the FDA approvals, and all the government censorship that has to go through. Everything has to be FDA approved for medication. So biofrequency is a method by which HHR can get away with introducing new things that don't have to be FDA approved because it's not medication. So what they're saying is that everything has a frequency that you can relate to. Living bodies as well as everything that's alive, including the plants that you plant, has energy in it. And I will send whoever wants to, or maybe whoever, I can send this this information as a PDF to anybody, so you can actually access those websites that I do reference in this presentation. As an example of the frequency, it is documented, whether people believe it or not, but it's documented that 62 to 72 hertz is basically, I think I have it works, yeah. 62 to 72 hertz is what the body is usually runs at. And if you go below 58, you start getting flu and colds, and if you drop down to 42 hertz, then cancer may appear in some bodies. So this is something that keep in mind. As you get weaker, probably the frequency in your body has diminished. So basically, the theory behind the Hippocrates Health Institute is that it comes down to life, energy, and vibration. Everything that's alive that has energy in it is useful for you. This is an example of the picture of the electromagnetic field of the heart, and how it sees vibrates and how it's shining. This is a picture of, on the right side is an organic mushroom, and on the left side is a non-organic mushroom. You can see that there's more life in that mushroom. And then the next one shows the electromagnetic field of a leaf that the leaf has been cut, but you can still see that there's an energy field around the area that was cut. Just like when you have any of the limbs taken out, you can sometimes feel that the rest of the limb is still there, although it's not there, but you feel the energy that you may think is there. So, there's a question, is the leaf a matter of energy? And the answer to it is energy. So there is a lot of energy in what we see. This is basically coming to the food. This institute believes in the vegan and raw food. So basically they have all kinds of sprouts and vegetables and any kinds of live food actually has the most protein that you can consume. And live food, live energetic food, such as green leaves, will the body will absorb all of the protein, or most of the protein, as compared to 50% of the meat you eat, or maybe less than that if you cook something. So once you cook something, or once you process something, you lose some of the protein that the body can absorb. And while I was there, I took a video of the actual video of the actual table that the food was served, and it's about 2.5 minutes. So bear with me if you don't like it, I'll stop. But basically, this is what. Oops. So I can see it here. Let me go back. It's displaying one sheet.
Field question.
No, we just get it out of the PowerPoint.
It's going to be another $20 in the bucket if I can answer any question.
It's on the screen, but it's not projected.
Yeah. It's on the screen, but it's not projected.
It's on my, let's close this.
may have to interrupt the PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah, I may have to close it actually.
Something as simple as escape to interrupt the PowerPoint might help you out.
Yeah.
There you go.
I don't know if there's a volume, but so this is actually the table that's serving these are all the sprouts, and I tried to get the names of all. Sprouts are all either seeds or plants that you soak in water and then you put in either in a jar, or you actually at home, or you can put it in the earth, and it come up in a few days. But these are all sprouted grains and plants. And that was our meal. So there was no sugar, no carbs, no alcohol, no caffeine, no fruits, and nothing. Everything was leafy vegetables and sprouts. And that kind of takes a toll on you, as you will see in a minute after I finish this film.
Why no fruits?
That can get old, huh?
Why no fruits?
Because fruits are fructose, are sweet, or sugar, and nowadays, you look at 500,000 years ago, the fruits were low in sugar, but somehow over time they got 30% more sugar, and sugar even in fruits cause more aging. So it's one of the things that they don't promote. You can have one day a week fruits, but not anymore. And this is the organic.
No, there's no donuts.
No donuts, no sugar. All right, I think that's enough. Got a lot of these things.
Why is sugar a no-no?
Why is sugar no-no? Because sugar causes diabetes, sugar causes cancer, or at least cancer loves sugar, and it causes premature aging.
So cancer feeds off of sugar?
Absolutely. Cancer loves sugar, hates oxygen, and hates life. Okay, that's enough. You got olives at least. You've got carrots, that's sweet. You've got some okay. Let's go back to the PowerPoint. So one of the things that they want is to be organic. I know organic food is more expensive, but if you look at the grand scheme of things, I'm a vegan after this program, so I don't buy meat or any kind of dairy. And when you limit your intake to food, to vegetables, and sprouts and grains and nuts, even if you pay more, you end up not paying as much as either going out and eating or buying meats and poultry and all kinds of stuff. So basically, the idea is to try to be more organic. Toxic chemicals sprayed in our foods must be avoided. I guess everybody kind of knows that, but it's kind of hard to be organic all the time. They also promote to not only with what you eat, but also for the skin products. I use products that don't have any, that are organic or don't have any scent or smell to them in general. Deodorant, in general, you don't have to. If you eat all kinds of fresh green vegetables, you do not smell bad if you sweat, basically. So the third principle of the Hippocrates is the body, mind, and spirit. So all of them work together to heal you. So as Hippocrates said, the energy in yourself, in your body, can heal you. So if you are able to convince your body that you can heal yourself, theoretically you have the possibility through meditation to do that. So what is the body? What do they offer? So they offer that I've gone through. So aquatic body work is part of the body. Deep tissue massage, harmonic massage, which is a full body massage with tuning forks. You may think this is kind of voodoo, but I guess it works. Manual lymph drainage and all of these things in the face and the body, where you drain your lymph nodes, you relieve some stresses, some headaches. You can do that manually. You can learn how to do it yourself. Soma, which is great for body, designed to restore harmony. Swedish massage, which is the basic form of massage, and the Thai yoga massage, which is acupuncture and stretching. These are the things that we've gone through as part of the program to help your body recover. The mind, basically, as I said earlier, kind of affects your health and well-being. You can convince your mind through meditation that you can heal yourself. Basically, in general, if you can think of nothing at all and think of your body as a complex organism, you can kind of move things around to heal or to get rid of certain minor ailments. If you believe that is the case, if you do yoga or meditation, you might believe in this theory. So what we did, creative visualization, we did the EMDR, eye movement desensitization and electric processing, to deal with post-traumatic stress, panic attacks, phobias, and so forth. Mind-body psychotherapy, which is a deep healing technique. Regression therapy, which was interesting, they take you back in time when you first had some kind of trauma, and they go through that trauma and relieves it moving forward. And stress evaluation and stress management, which is a typical event that you may see here locally without being at an institution like HSR. The spirit, if you believe in that, spirit is within us. It is the inner unseen force that guides us. No matter who you believe in, what you believe, there is a spirit out there that guides us into what we do. We did acupuncture. I did not do acupuncture, but you can do it. Color puncture, which is focusing color light on acupuncture points, Jitsu, private meditation, Reiki, stress education and relaxing that promotes self-healing, and transformational breath, which is interactive breathing combined with sound and hands-on work. These are the things that are done over there. So in summary, I attended 3 weeks of the Life Transformation Program. Week 1 is the detox. As I said, no caffeine, no sugar, no carbs, no fruits even, 1 day fruits, and 1 day avocado. And week 2 is transitional. Actually, you get used to it, your body gets used to it, and you feel like you're part of the program. And then week number 3 is transformational. That means that you are already adopting that theory. Now, let me share with you that when I went there, this is a rolling 3-week period, which means you get there, you do 3 weeks. Somebody may come into week 2 and do 3 weeks, so you have a rolling 3 weeks. And some people you meet when you come, so you spend 3 weeks with them. But there were people with diabetes, people who couldn't walk, people on walkers, people that had skin cancer, and the other ailments like blood pressure and overweight. And over 3 weeks, want to believe me, that's fine. But all of these individuals were much better off. The skin cancer was not cured, but it was clear. If there was skin cancer, diabetes, because they do a blood test, a major blood test when you first come, and one right before you leave, and they compare the test results. And you can see the improvements in all of these, specifically cholesterol and weight loss. So it does help, that type of living, eating healthy and exercising and doing the right things as you think you know, does lead to good results. I did the meditation part, which is extremely useful. It takes a long time to learn how to meditate, even to think of nothing. You think you might be able to meditate and think of nothing, but it's very difficult to think of nothing. Always ideas come to mind. You just have to shove them aside and you try to think of blanks. And in lectures, they had lectures all every afternoon, concepts of health and healing, lymphatic system, stress, and so forth. Even kitchen techniques to teach you how to eat that type of food. Fitness exercises every morning, 3 hours every day. We did fitness, aqua fitness, core and stretch, boot camp, 1 day a week, with the fit ball, qigong, organized body, breath, and posture to gentle circle movements, yoga, and tai chi. There are a lot of therapy treatments. H-wave is recognized by the FDA as an anesthesia device. As I said, there is no indication there. These are the patches they put on certain areas that hurt you, and they do vibrational therapy. It's like waves, looks like an H, that's why it's called H-wave. And it actually vibrates the stress out of whatever is hurting your knee or your arm or your leg, whatever it is. Bioenergy testing determines the state of person's energy field. Like I said earlier, the energy field, you can determine that through bioenergy testing. Thermosonic, you stand on it, you might have it in some of the gyms here, it kind of vibrates your whole body and relaxes you after a hard workout. It kind of gives you, have you ever had the thermosonic? Do you have it in one of the gyms here? I haven't seen it locally, but it's a nice machine that vibrates at different frequencies, and after a workout, you feel like you're fresh. So the colonic, this is the colon hydrotherapy, so I don't know if you have colonic exercises or colonic skill, I'm sure they exist. Yukon, which is a nice way of lowering your stress, improve sleep without drugs. So you sit on a chair and you cover yourself and they give you music and they give you some tools that you will feel extremely relaxed and you go into sleep. You go into sleep for a certain 20-30 minutes. You wake up energized. Theragen, which is similar to Yukon with water, more like a waterbed. AQRS, which is something that I'm going to ask Christopher about it, because that is a tool that creates the same resonance as your body. So you can buy a pad, you can buy a bed, and you sleep on it, it creates this resonance that is the same resonance as the body. The outcome, my personal outcome, although I did not have any purpose there was no purpose for me to participate other than learn, I did lose 8 pounds. A couple of my colleagues lost over 20 pounds in 3 weeks. My blood pressure, I have a high blood pressure and I do have to take medication for that. But I stopped the medication and my blood pressure went from 160/95 when I got there to 130/82, which is acceptable. Cholesterol, I had 192, came out with 169. Lowered the LDL, which is the bad cholesterol, from 120 to 89. It needs to be below 100. Raised the HDL from 62 to 70. It should be around 35 to 50. Triglycerides are made at 51 throughout the period. And if you don't know that, the total cholesterol, which is the 192, is a calculated number. It's not a measured number. And the way to calculate is to add the HDL and the LDL and the triglyceride divided by 5, and you will get your cholesterol number. So whenever you get your biometrics and you do your cholesterol reading, you can look at the HDL, LDL, and triglyceride and figure out what your total cholesterol is. Just remember that HDL, the higher the HDL, the better off you are. So that number includes a high number of HDL. So theoretically, the ideal number for cholesterol should be below 150. How many of you have 150 cholesterol? Very difficult to have. But if you do follow this type of diets, you will end up with a lower cholesterol. Challenges to you. I'm challenging you right now. Reduce the intake of sugars, including fruits. So, an answer to Bob, cancer lives on sugar. It also does not survive in a high oxygen atmosphere or high temperature over 105 degrees Fahrenheit. The theory behind the Hippocrates program is that when you have a high fever, when you go to 102, 103, the body regulates the temperature over 103 degrees, so you don't have to do anything theoretically. You don't have to take medication because the body will fight the disease, and anything that causes the fever to go up will die at 104 degrees. So if you allow yourself to go to 104 degrees, borderline, your body will come back to normal temperatures. Cancer cannot survive over 105 degrees, so if you know that fact, then some of the infrared saunas that you can purchase below $5,000 for 2 people in a sauna, you will heat yourself from the inside and you will go up to 115, 120 degrees easily in that sauna. Move to a more plant-based diet, at least 50-50 if you are a big eater, and try to go to maybe 50-50 and then 80-20 eventually. Do not eat processed meat, including hot dogs.
We're serving them today.
Reduce the intake of dairy products. Dairy products cause inflammation. All the rheumatoid arthritis that you have is possibly caused by dairy products and or meat products. If you remove those two, you should not have any rheumatoid arthritis. Drink raw green juices. I think Bob tried it. Did you try it? Yeah. So I make green juice twice a week, which is pea sprouts, which I buy from the farmer's market, pea sprouts, sunflower sprouts, celery, and cucumber. And I put them in a high-speed blender, and I make, I put them in a juicer, and I make this green juice. But I also make almond milk. So I get almonds, I store them in water for 12 hours, and the next morning I put them in a high-speed blender like a Vitamix, and then have a milk, almond milk bag, and I squeeze the almonds out into the milk, and that's extremely fresh, has no preservatives, pure almonds and fresh water. And that's all you need. If you can drink green juice at 10 o'clock in the morning and about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you will not have a big lunch, you will not have a big dinner. That's how one area you can reduce your weight by eating nutritious food that fills you up. And lastly is to drink distilled water or osmosis water. If you like, smart water is a distilled water if you have it, but distilled water is somehow acidic and you don't want to drink it all the time. Usually drink it to alleviate some issues, but once you're okay and once you feel good, reverse osmosis water is a good alternative, better than the pure water that you buy at the store. I do have a whole house filter, which gives me ability to reduce the fluoride in water and the calcium in water, and so I don't need to buy it, but it is available in the market.
Is alcohol treated the same as sugars?
Yes, alcohol is sugar. So again, if you drink a glass of red wine, it helps your metabolism, it helps your heart and stuff. That's what you believe. And as I said earlier, your body, if you eat something that you really want, somehow it gets metabolized much better than you are forced to eat something you don't like. So if you force yourself to eat fruits and you like fruits, or you eat fresh vegetables and you like them, they probably would not metabolize as easily as something that you really like.
Bob is interested in beer. Is that on your list?
No, it's not on my list.
Not on your list.
Is your Carillion Aura pictures made here or in Russia?
Which one?
The pictures of the Aura, the Carillion pictures, were they made in the United States or were they made in Russia?
West Palm Beach.
Palm Beach?
West
Okay.
Palm Beach, yeah.
'Cause that's a Russian technology.
I got a question.
Yes.
What do you do when you go out to eat? Do you go out to eat, or?
I don't go out to eat unless
Unless you're in Asheville.
unless the situation presents itself, like if somebody's birthday or whatever it is. So when I go to like an event, I really don't eat. When I go to an event where you have a buffet of fruits and meats and meat cuts and stuff, I don't eat. Usually, I don't eat. I eat before or eat afterwards, but I don't eat. It's difficult not to eat some of this good stuff that you have, some of the fried chicken or some of the fillets or whatever you have. But I don't eat now. If I go to a restaurant, I usually have salad, and I don't put any dressing on it, maybe vinaigrette or olive oil. But I don't. I try not to eat. Although I can't say I'm 100% vegan. I mean, I do sometimes eat fish.
Your 50-50, 80-20 recommendation, are those mostly raw components or can they be cooked?
No, they can be cooked. Now, the ideal temperature is not to exceed 110 degrees. If you have a dehydrator, the dehydrator works around 105, 108 degrees. So if you dehydrate for certain things like fruits or you make cookies, because you can make cheese from nuts, you can dehydrate nuts and eat them. They metabolize much better in your body than you eat raw nuts. So if you don't exceed 110, then they call it raw. If you cook it, that's fine, but the 80-20 or 50-50 is cooked. I mean, raw food is really the last stage of your, once you truly believe in the process, you may go to raw food, but I think plant-based is the #1 priority.
How long have you been doing this?
I've been a vegetarian since December 2014, but I've been a vegan since January 2018, just now. I knew I was going to this institute in March, so I started to detox myself.
They're coming here in October, is that correct?
Yeah, October, the director of the faculties, I'm inviting him to come. He's coming to October 10, Wednesday, October 10, I think that's Wednesday. It's at the Grand Auditorium on South Block. It's free to the public. We're sponsoring him, transport, and I. And he will be coming to talk about a topic of interest. And I've already, Mr. Baseball and I have already decided on the topic, and he's going to be doing that. I also invited him to come to that TEDx, which is November 3rd, and he agreed to do a TEDx presentation on November 3rd at the Black Auditorium.
What did you say about red wine? I didn't quite get it.
I said the red wine is alcohol, which is a no-no
Okay.
at the Institute, but we all know that a little bit of red wine doesn't hurt and helps the body and helps the heart. So
Okay.
you can't be 100% unless you're truly raw vegan. Yes, sir.
What's the average cost of this?
The average cost is, for a 3-week program, staying over there is the least possible is about $6,000. And the typical one is about $10,000 for 2 people.
Have they come up with any cure for this, like for Alzheimer's?
Well,
Would this affect Alzheimer's?
Let me tell you something. When you go there, they tell you we're not a hospital, and they are not really liked over there. I mean, they think that there are voodoos and stuff, and they don't like them. The hospitals don't like them. They don't let them go to the hospital to talk to them.
Hospitals don't like any kind of natural.
Right, but the idea is that, let's say you have a stage 4 cancer, you can't be treated, right? The idea is that you do have the necessary surgeries or whatever to treat yourself, but you can come for recovery over there. The recovery is much faster than if you have diabetes, or type 1 or type 2, type 2 diabetes, and you follow this diet, you will get off medication. Which one is the pre-diabetes, or the one or two, I forgot. The one that's managed.
Type 2 is what you get later on in life, normally from your environment and whatnot.
Okay, not the genes, not the hereditary one, the other one that you can, that one you cause yourself, you can get off it, especially heart disease, which is reversible, by the way, and the blood pressure. Done? My time's up?
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a speaker gift for you, made by Wayne.
Yep.
So please enjoy that. Your next glass of cold water will sit right. That's a hazard.
Normal, good.
No ice water.
No, I'm still
No ice water. My wife's not going to go have that.
James,
Top half.
Everybody turn the guy.
No, you're fine.
Okay, folks.
Yeah, 100,000 people kiss that thing right there.
Yeah, upside down and backwards.
No, we didn't make it that far, actually.
Okay. Thank you, Bob, for arranging a very interesting program. It is, the old slogan, you are what you eat.
Anybody that's interested can certainly call you, right?
Yeah, please, if you want my business card, you're welcome to. And if you want me to send the presentation, I think I'm allowed to share it. I mean, I made it myself, but you're welcome to put it somewhere if you want access to it for.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your time. Thank you, Bob.
Take a look at that box of donuts, y'all. It's the last one you're gonna see.
You can look at them as much as you want.
Kenny and I determined that was not a southern spread of food that we saw because there was no bacon. We knew it was.
And I'll be honest with you, his wife coerced me one morning after we ran walk into having breakfast with her because Henny knew better and went upstairs and took a shower. But everything was raw and they're vegan style, and it wasn't bad.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad. I didn't see any eggs on the table or bacon, but it wasn't bad.
It's like acquired taste. You have to want
Yeah.
to do it. It's just not going to be something that's obvious.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
If it ain't got bacon, it ain't breakfast.
So don't have breakfast.
Well, occasionally sausage is a substitute.
All right, we have, I will share very, very quickly with you an experience last week. My wife and I proctored for Viewmont Elementary School. You may remember that Dr. White was looking for proctors, so we signed up to do that. Very interesting to be back in a classroom after very many years and see just how crazy some stuff is. Teachers buy boxes of Kleenex for their classroom. When I was a kid, I never thought of where this stuff came from. So, classroom connection. I mean, you can spend some time with Donald and see teachers come through. It's just amazing what our school system doesn't supply for what's needed in the classroom. So you'll probably hear some more from me in the upcoming months. I've got a couple of ideas brewing around. But in the meantime, Dr. V, we're ready.
Okay, each of you should have a copy of the proposed budget. This is a draft form. And what you see here is a result of the last couple of weeks of discussion that we have had here. And y'all saw the email I sent out about the things we need to be discussing, one of which is from our contingency fund. In other words, the amount of money left over at the end of our fiscal year, how much should we take from that? What I did was, if you look under the income part, the next to last item of $5,908, that's what I put down for return. I got that word from Phil last week, retained earnings. It could be called a carryover, contingency fund, whatever. But that's the figure I put in simply to cover the expenses we said we would like to be able to afford next year. All the way down the bottom of the expenses is the RI international expense. That's what we agreed that we would give to Donald so that he can go to Toronto. This is not a recurring thing. In other words, we're not going to put it in there every year because sometimes very often, the RI convention is in another country.
Frankfurt.
And we can't always afford to send people necessarily, but it's something we could discuss every year if our incoming president really, really wants to go. I sent this to you, so hopefully you had taken a look at it. We're basing everything on 23 paid members.
Yeah, we may want to pencil in 25, because based on the responses we're getting from Scott and Gerardo.
Okay, which is fine. However, it realistically doesn't change the budget.
Right.
Because it's in and out,
In and out,
same
right.
thing. So we anticipate a total income of $38,235, a total outgo of $38,235. From our normal three that we've been funding every year, the Classroom Connections, the ROTC at Hickory High, and the stand down, we added the soup kitchen. Since it was recommended last week we do that, since we no longer send volunteers to the soup kitchen. That's the draft. Now, next week is our club assembly. And my hope is we can have a final draft to hand to Donald and say, this is what you got for the year. So any questions, concerns, suggestions?
What were the four again? CC?
They're down here.
ROTC.
Okay, the stand down,
Oh, stand up, okay.
ROTC, Classroom Connections, and soup kitchen. The figures we have listed as possible expenses are there because they're real close to what we've been doing, and we really hit really well our projections last year, both on income and outgo. So it wasn't too bad. Sir?
Why don't we leave the RI international expense as a line item, and if the president wants to go, then 2,000 will be the max that the club will be.
And it's already in here, so theoretically, if we hit this budget, it's something we can do every year. That's not a problem with leaving it in.
Rick, how does the bottom line number compare with last year?
Yeah, I do, as a matter of fact. Last year was 32,000. And we actually our actual expenses were 33.5, right? Our actual income was 36. So we had a little bit of a carryover for that. And we'll see how it goes. We do. I was so impressed with last year's numbers that we were pretty on a lot of things. We've talked the last few weeks about changes. The fact that we're putting the RI Toronto thing as a separate item might mean that the line item meetings for officers at $2,500, we might not spend quite that much in our normal pets and stuff like that. So chances are there'll be some of these expenses that we won't spend much of it all. We might go over in some. But that's why the retained earnings thing is there.
And I'm trying to capture when we do that. In other words, for instance, to use the bucket as an example, we didn't quite raise budget-wise what we said we would, but I still paid it. So
Yeah,
what I can
gotcha.
try to do is capture a column that says,
Right.
okay, I carried over.
Gotcha.
You understand? So that way we have a more accurate picture of,
Yep.
if you want it. I mean, I'm just.
Yeah. I think it's
we want it.
what's been really been good for the last few years, in my opinion, is the transparency of our budget. Everybody knows what we got. Everybody knows where it's going, and I think that's the important thing. And we're in decent shape, really good shape. Steiger, you just your brainchild 4 years ago, whatever, for dances has really increased our budget.
You're making these heads swell, he's not here.
Never mind. Erase that. So, in the interest of time, please take a look at this and come prepared next week to vote. If you have any suggestions at all, please share them with the whole club so everybody sees what we're thinking about. And go back over, please. I ask you to go back over, because I don't think I made a copy of it, the update I sent last week that included this, because I also included some questions for us to think about. What's the base we want to use for our contingency fund? We have to have, and it doesn't have to be next week, but we could start it, but we have to have a conversation about our retreats. Are we going to have them? Where are we going to do them? How many do we need? But the idea of whether you like to get up in the morning or not, Dan, and not go to Bob Evans, we've been pretty productive in those time frames. And usually no more than 2 hours. Because I know Gavin always comes in 5 minutes before we're finished with it. But I think we may have started 8:31 or 9 o'clock, I forget, but by 11 we usually finish with it. So, it's always a good idea for us to get together just to let our hair down and say, okay, what do we need to discuss and work on? So that's it.
Question.
President Phil. And
If we get when we get a Rotaract Club started at this campus, where would that appear in the line item budget?
well, we have to have a new one. New line item.
Because we need to start a Rotaract Club here.
Well, I think that we've been saying that for what, 15, 18 years, or how long we've been a club?
All right. Good.
Okay.
Food for thought for next week. Please look it over. Read through the email that Rick sent. It had this attached that came on Saturday. Be thinking about that. Think about ways that as we enter the next Rotary year, ways that we can be active in the community in a way that brings attention to Rotary. I was at Saturday. I was at groundbreaking for Habitat for Humanity for a house and picnic area commemorating Rudy Wright's service to our community. And Newton Conover Rotary Club. I think I have that right. I think I have the right club.
Catawba Valley, right?
Catawba Valley, thank you. I always get those two mixed up. Catawba Valley Rotary Club presented a check to the project there. Nice big check. It was a great way that Rotary was once again put in the spotlight for the community. So So as the year begins to ramp up here for Donald, be thinking of ways that our club can have good visibility in the community for things like that, whether it's money or time that we do or newspaper articles, whatever. It really goes a long way for helping to promote Rotary. Thank you all for your contributions to the Blue Bucket. I had to get up on the table, and I meant to get up on the table to turn that projector off. So I'm putting myself at risk. My life is on the line for the Blue Buckets. So